First thing I want to say before I get into this video is understand that just because a camera is not the camera that you want or that you're not excited about doesn't mean you need to comment about it and take the joy away from others that are really excited about a camera. There are plenty that I don't like, but that's okay. That's just not for me. The cameras I like may not be for you, and that's okay too. You don't need to comment about how you don't like that it doesn't have IBIS or it doesn't have an EVF. That doesn't matter to me, which is why I like the camera I got. So I just want to start out by saying that. Remember, you can always choose to just be kind and keep scrolling if this isn't for you, and that's okay. Now, I am also not a YouTuber. I am not a vlogger. That is not my thing. I make these videos purely just because I like talking about the gear that I have bought and how I use it. And if there's any weird little niche things about that gear that maybe me talking about lets someone else figure something out, like I like being helpful there. Because there's been times where like you can watch like 4 or 5 of a video on the same camera, just people reviewing it, and maybe only one of those videos is going to mention a feature or something that's an issue with a camera that you're like, oh, that's actually important to me. No one else has mentioned that, but to me that's important. So I think it's really cool to see the different just perspectives that everybody has on their cameras. So yeah, there's plenty of other like technical reviews on this camera and on plenty of others that I've talked about. That's not what I'm here for. I am here to talk about how I've used them and how I really like them. I've had people telling me that my X-T4 is a terrible camera and that I should have sold it and gotten an X-T5. You know what? I'm extremely happy with my X-T4. I love that camera. So you don't need to tell me that my gear is terrible just because it's something that you would not use and that you do not like. It's okay. I've also had people sitting on here telling me, well, you're not really a photographer. You're just here because you're a YouTuber who only cares about content creation. I don't actually. Most of the time, and the rest of this video will be filmed on this because you're going to be surprised in a second, I film everything on my phone or on my G7X. That's all I care about. I don't care about video at all. It's just not my thing. I'm a photographer. I am a professional photographer. I don't do it full time because I don't want to. I want to keep the joy of it and not have it drain me. But I am a professional photographer. I use my Canon gear for that. But I also just love photography. I love taking photos of everything around me and capturing moments that I'm going to remember. I have a really bad memory. I have the memory of a goldfish. So for me to be able to look back on all of these little memories, it can be the smallest little thing. Like my husband and I took an evening drive to go look at Christmas lights and got like some hot chocolate to take with us. And I take pictures of those things. And then like years later, I'm looking back on that going, wow, I forgot about that night. And that was so much fun. And I love seeing those memories. That's kind of where I'm at here. So I don't really use my gear for content creation and video. That being said, this portion of my video here has been filmed on my new Fujifilm Xm5. Now the lens I'm using right now is the 18 to 55 kit lens because that's the one I have. This is a stabilized lens, which helps because this camera does not have image stabilization. It does have digital image stabilization. And I will insert a few clips here just so that you guys can see what it's like for me using it with this lens. There's just a little test shots. Again, I don't do video normally, so these are just some little test shots to help you guys get an idea of the camera's video, at least how I've used it just on basically an auto setting. There is a lot more to it that I do not even know how to use that people have said it's actually a pretty like feature-packed camera for the price that it's at. So I'll insert those here and then we'll get back to it, and I'll be filming this on a different camera so I can show you this one. So. All right, so this is my Xm5 with a stabilized lens on it. I am also not great at handheld video in general because it's not something I do. So, trying to get the glare off my glasses here. This is on the 18 to 55 kit lens, which is a great lens, but I don't plan on ever using this for vlogging. This is more just showing for you guys to see, oh look, my glare kind of went away, except now you get the Christmas tree lights in it. But this is how it looks and sounds with this lens, which is stabilized. So I don't have any camera stabilization turned on, just the lens is on. So, okay, so let me mess with the mics here. Okay, so I've got the mic facing me now. This is with the camera and the lens stabilization on, which again, I don't know that I would need. The lens was fine. I really don't plan on vlogging on this, but I know that if I was on a trip and using this kit lens, I could take nice videos. So let's turn it around. I'm gonna turn the mic setting around too. I'm gonna flip this out. Sorry, that will be a little, okay. So it is definitely zoomed in. Obviously, we expected that because that's what the digital zoom does. It crops in. But again, I have a lens with image stabilization, so I don't need this. Okay, so this is with the kit lens without the image stabilization on, but with the lens stabilization on. So, and then the mic is still facing me. Sorry about the glare. I just already have my glasses on for today, so we're just leaving them. It is what it is for today. I don't normally wear these, but they're blue light, and yeah. I'm just trying to give you guys kind of a little video of what this is looking like. I just have it on the vlog setting right now. It's kind of doing everything on its own. I don't do much with video, like I've said. Mostly if I'm gonna do video, I'm filming on my Canon G7X because that's as much as I need personally for me, so. But this is just to give you guys an idea of what it looks like on the Xm5. I have seen some people do some really cool video stuff with it, so it does have those options. It's just not something I care about. I do more photo than video, so. So I went to go start this with my Canon G7X Mark III here, and it's still a great little vlog camera. The focus is not great on it, and I know it's better on the older versions, but this is just what I have. My husband actually has my original Mark I. So I decided to switch over. My Sony ZV-1 is a great stills video camera. It's not great for vlogging. I took it on our last Disney trip and I regretted it because all my video is so shaky, and that's with stabilization on. I didn't turn the active stabilization on because it crops in so much, and honestly I don't know that helped that much. So my plan going forward is my Sony ZV-1 is my sit-down video camera. My G7X Mark III is our vlog camera, and the main reason I have these when I'm not a video person is because I love having videos of our trips to watch back. Like my husband will just take all the videos and then I just put them all together and I upload them to a like private YouTube thing for just us to watch our trip videos back when we get home and stuff, and we love doing that. So that's really the only reason I have those. Anyway, my point is I don't really do video, so that's why, while I know that this hasn't been made to be a video-centric camera, it's not what I got it for. So personally for me, like I explained, I am a photographer. I am not a videographer. I don't really do video much. I like to take little tiny video clips here and there, but honestly, even on my X106 on our trip, I kind of forgot to take most of those, even though that one has stabilization now. For people that want that, I'm sure this is great, but I'm gonna mostly talk to the photography side because I'm not here as a videographer. So you guys got those clips that I've already put in here. So now I'm gonna talk through the rest of the camera. So there are definitely pros and cons to this. There are pros and cons to every camera out there. I had the X-T32. Long story short, I sold it. Now I've got it back again because it never made it to the person and USPS had to re-deliver it to me, and the guy had already bought a new one by that point. I'm gonna be relisting it to sell it. That was just a whole mess with USPS, nothing else. But the X-T32 is a wonderful camera. It was not a good camera for me personally. It was too close in size to being in between basically my X-T4 and my X106. And because of the EVF and the flash, it actually took up more room. So my X-T4 right here, which is bigger because it has a bigger grip and everything, and right now I just have a 23 f1.4 lens on it. This is a great camera. It is a phenomenal camera and I love using it. But if I want to travel and travel light, I am always going to take my X106. That will always be with me. It's my weather sealed option. It's my run and go easy option. It is just the easiest thing to pull out. It turns on and starts up so fast, it's just ready to go. So that's my run and go option. But if I want to take other shots or different like lenses and things, like I don't want to take my giant Canon gear on trips. I save that for my professional work or stuff just around here. I don't want to take that with me on trips. It's heavy, it's bulky. I don't want anything to happen to it, even though I have insurance on it. I want a travel camera for that reason. And I love my X106, but it does have its limitations. I do also have a TCL lens for it that I'll use occasionally, but again, that's more for having the like weather sealing on it. So having a small camera like the Xm5, which is significantly smaller than my X-T32, and it is actually smaller than my X106. So now this is my Xm5 with the 18-55 lens on it, which is a perfectly fine setup. This is my X106. There is quite a big size difference in like the length and just in general, like this is actually a significantly smaller camera because it doesn't have an EVF and extra features in it, which makes it good for me. Now, to everybody who wanted a more feature-packed camera, who wants the IBIS, who wants the EVF, this just isn't the camera for you. And I know that's disappointing. Fuji is purposely trying to give beginners and new photographers something they can afford that's in their range. That's what the Xm5 was designed for. It was designed with a budget in mind that more people can afford it. Now, obviously they need to be able to keep up with stock, and that's the whole different issue. But I love that they are trying to be inclusive of other people that want to get into photography. Like, why would we not want that? Because that helps us have like camera companies that really invest when they know people are interested in it. Like, I think it's great that other people want to get into it now. This is a super small camera. It is so small. Like, let's see, iPhone 15 Pro, not even the Max, just the Pro. Like, that's the size. So, just to give you guys a sample of the size. Now, if I put my smallest lens that I have is the 35 1.4. So if I were to put that on this camera, it is an even smaller setup than with my 18 to 55 lens here. So even smaller setup here. It's a cute little setup, I love it. It's so lightweight, it's so tiny. Like, this would be an easy little portrait setup to fit in my purse when we go on trips, which is one of the big things about this. Like, I can carry a smaller bag and still fit multiple cameras in there and lenses. I can fit pretty much all of my Fuji lenses with this. So I would have my, I would have my 18 to 55, I would have this lens, I could have my 56 1.4, which is my bokeh beast, and I love it. And then I could even have this Viltrox 35 1.4 that's on my X-T4. I could have all of those in that bag with me and also have my X106 and still be doing great with a small bag, and I love that. For travel and daily type stuff, that's what I want. That's why I want this camera. I know people are complaining about the EVF and the IBIS. I have an X70, I'll show you that too. My beloved little X70 is like the most amazing Fuji camera, and I wish they would update it. This camera doesn't have an EVF, it doesn't have IBIS, but it still takes phenomenal photos, to the point that lots of people in the photography community still love this camera and still want these cameras. So why are we complaining that this doesn't have an IBIS or an EVF, but this one doesn't and we love it? Like, you know? I think there's just a lot of different expectations now, and I don't think that we necessarily need every feature in every camera. That's just not possible, and that's okay. That's why there's so many options for different people. If you love the X-T30 type camera and that's what you want, then that's amazing and that's great for you. I just personally didn't like it, and that's why I sold mine. Now, I also purposely love full articulating screens. I love one that it protects it when it's not like out and I'm not using it, or even if I was to put it down and it's not a strap, I can just fold the screen in. No, it's protected. That's fine. Yeah, it takes me a few seconds to flip it around, but then we're good. It, for me, allows me to be able to do self-portraits, which I do a lot of for my creativity. I love doing stuff like that with ballet and things like that. That's my personal niche of photography that I like. But I also love that when I take family photos or photos with my husband, I can flip the screen out, set the timer, and then jump in and see where we are in the frame if I need to move anybody or anything. It's great for that. And I use it a lot for that. I took our family Christmas photo on my X-T4 here, actually with the kit lens. It was not my way of setting things up, so it was still kind of an odd photo because my mom had this whole idea in her mind of having us all around the kitchen, which was crowded with bad lighting and everything. But I used flash. I had the flip screen out so we could see where we all fit, and that helped us all kind of shift as the camera was getting ready to take the photo. That's why I, as a photographer, love a fully articulating screen, as well as having it protected. I also shoot more vertical, so if I'm shooting low, I'm going to have my screen down like that. That's just my preference. With my X100, I do shoot more horizontal a lot than I used to, just because it's easy to just pick it up and take it really fast. But anyway, so those are some of my main thoughts on this. I don't love the film simulation dial. It's just, I don't see the need for it. It kind of throws things off and gets confusing. So the F1, 2, and 3 are basically so you can just have more film simulations than are listed here as settings. They're not the custom recipes. The custom recipes are going to be the C1, 2, 3, and 4 on this dial, which unfortunately means you only get 4 custom recipes, which I don't love. It's also confusing because if you ever have this set on a film simulation and your C1, 2, 3, or 4, the film simulation dial overrides the custom setting. So you have to have it on this C setting, which to me basically is clear. in order to use your C1, 2, 3, or 4. I had to pick the ones I wanted to use the most. Thankfully, like I said, I still have my X106. I have other cameras that can hold more film simulation recipes, so I can test those out and then decide, oh, is this one I absolutely love, then it needs to go in here. My Reggie's Portra is always in here. Portra 400 version 2 is in here. Classic Cuban Negative is in here, and then I have a custom one that I built that I keep in all my cameras that's basically Reggie's Portra coloring, but with more sharpness. So it doesn't have any grain on it. It doesn't take down the sharpness at all. I think I left the clarity at 0, but it kind of allows it to be a very clear photo where I want the JPEG to not have any grain or defocusing, or you know, like less resolution. I want it to look clear. So I have that in here just because that's an easy one for me to switch over to when I need that. The one thing Fuji did amazing on this, guys. How many times when you put your X100 cameras in your bag or something and all of a sudden you take it out later and it's turned on? Same with my X-T32, same thing. This button is so hard to actually turn on and off, and I love it. It is actually like super helpful for not having your camera. This camera has never turned on in my bag, so I love that they actually fixed that. I hope that that keeps going in more cameras. There's definitely less buttons and dials. I don't love that this is not a tactile dial anymore. Like the front one is, but this one is more of a hard soft dial. I don't know how to explain that. I don't love it. It's a little harder for me to use. I also wish obviously that the film simulation dial was just some other dial, whether it's exposure, although I don't use exposure compensation much since I shoot in full manual. I just wish it was something else. I will say for a small entry-level camera, this has a lot more features packed into it as far as like customization and dials than other cheaper cameras. Like you can still control everything manually easily from this camera because there are enough dials. If I were to take like here's a good example, my Olympus Pen 10, this camera is basically the entry-level Olympus camera. It only has one dial that I can actually set to change any of my settings. The other one's a mode dial. So, and this is a D-pad, so it's not a wheel like on like my R6 or something. I love that they still made sure that you can still set it up to shoot manual on this. So it is still meant for people who aren't just beginners only shooting in like auto or aperture priority. Because some cameras, like this is one of my main issues with this camera was always I had a hard time shooting manual, and once I finally learned manual, I was like, oh, this is really difficult. Still love this little camera, it's so cute. But I love this for this. Now this is not weather sealed, but neither was my X-T32. My X106 is my weather sealed, my X-T4 is my weather sealed, we're good. This also, like I said, it doesn't have IBIS, but neither did my X-T32, and I never had issues getting good photos out of that. Again, I am not a video person, but people that are complaining about that are people that love the X-T32, and I'm like, how is that different? The only difference is the EVF. Literally, between those two cameras, that's one of the main differences. Obviously, this has less film simulation dials, but it also offers more film simulation, or less custom recipes, but it offers more film simulations. But the biggest difference between the two is that one has an EVF and one doesn't. And one has a tilting screen and one has an articulating screen. That's the biggest difference because neither one has IBIS. The other X-T32 doesn't even have the digital IBIS. So just some food for thought here. I think that was all my thoughts on this camera so far. Like I haven't used a lot. Oh, the grip, that was the other thing. So there is not a lot of a grip on here, obviously, but we knew that. Now, like plenty of other cameras that are out there that people love to use, like other brands that are really expensive brands that are very flat cameras, people still use them and love them. That has not changed just because there's no grip. I have tiny hands, so for me, this is okay, but honestly, even for me, this is very small grip. It does have a little bit of a thumb grip here too, so that helps. I actually ordered a little half case to protect it when I'm out and about, like on trips or walking, and I think that'll have a little extra grip on it, so that'll be good. But like even my X106, where did I put that? It doesn't have a lot of a grip on it for as heavy as it is, and I do feel like I wish I almost had the thumb grip on there, but I don't want to mess with my buttons. So this I just always keep in a half case and on a strap when I'm out, which is what I plan to do with this too. So for me, I'm really never shooting one-handed too. Like if I'm shooting like this or like this. Like I'm never just holding it up like this. That's just not how I take photos. So maybe with my X70 I would do that because it's so small, it's like a point and shoot, but that's probably all my thoughts here on this. I am really loving this camera. I'm very excited about it. So I'm sorry if this isn't the camera you guys wanted Fuji to announce, but it's been an amazing addition for me so far, and I've only had it for a little bit. And it's a great budget option for people who can't afford to buy more expensive cameras, who just want something simple like this. It's meant to be more compared to the Sony ZV-E10. which is a more budget-friendly beginner camera. That's what this was meant to be comparable to. So I love that they're trying to include camera options for people in lower budgets, because how is the photography world going to survive if we keep trying to keep it only for people who are like professionals? It's not. We need those people who want to do it just for fun, who want to make memories. Why should we not want them to do that? Like, that's what I love about photography. I love making memories and taking them on my camera. I hate how they look on my phone. I love the look of cameras. The other thing I just ordered today, and I only got it for this lens, so this is my like basically a 50. I did get a black Pro Mist filter for this because around Christmas time I love taking photos with the Pro Mist filter, and I have one on my Xm5 and I just love how it makes the lights bloom. So I will be adding those things to it today, and yeah, so that's my thoughts so far.